Well, hello guys, it's Michael, the DC Multiverse Collector here. Very pumped, very excited to be bringing you this review of the DC Multiverse Green Arrow Connor Hawke and the DC Multiverse Hourman, both gold label releases from McFarlane Toys. Now, I'm not sure exactly which stores these are exclusive to in the US, but these two awesome looking figures are available widely in Australia. They're not exclusive to any one retailer. You can pick them up from whatever local retailer you like to shop at, whether that be the awesome folks at Green Rock Comics or the awesome folks at popculture.com.au. And a big thank you, I've got to say, to the folks at Icon Collectibles for sending me these figures for review. And I should say also, for anyone watching this, lucky you get a 15% off McFarlane code at popculture.com.au. Just use the offer code 15McFarlane, that's 15 McFarlane at checkout on any in-stock McFarlane item and get 15% off. Pretty cool. Thank you, Pop Culture, for that. Now, anyway, with all that aside, these two figures, I had been looking forward to them for quite some time. Connor Hawke, sort of a newer character, I guess, really speaks to my 90s love, you know, in the DC world. And Hourman, of course, being a founding member, a seminal member of the Justice Society of America. Very cool to get them. Let's have a look at the back of the box. And here you can see we have some very nice artwork here of Connor Hawke. And some very classic looking artwork here of Hourman in his original outfit, that golden age era. From my understanding, the JSA was the very first superhero team in comics. Is that right? Comic nerds, let me know. The JSA, the original superhero team, hadn't been done before. Quite a new concept back in the 30s or whenever the hell they were invented. Was it the 30s or the 40s? I'm feeling like it's the 30s. And of course, nowadays our pop culture landscape is filled with superhero teams. So very important character and a very important team. So without any further ado, let's get these figures open, see what they come with, see what they can do, and I'll give you my thoughts about Green Arrow Connor Hawke and Hourman. So taking a look at accessories, starting with Green Arrow Connor Hawke, you'll see we get the card here with the lovely art from the back of the box, and on the back we have a data file confirming the particulars for Connor Hawke. You will see that he is the son of Oliver Queen, and he has a whole very 90s backstory, so you can pause there if you'd like to read. He also comes with a standard DC Multiverse display stand, thin, basic, boring, but good to have. In addition, he also gets this nifty little quiver. Now you can see that this is very nicely sculpted. It's got like a fabric texture in it, in addition to some sort of stitching, some clasps, some buckles. There is no paint on this whatsoever, but you must agree that the sculpt is very nice, and there's a peg there for it to peg into the back of the figure. We'll have a look at that in a minute. What is interesting to note is that this quiver is unique to this figure, and from what I can tell, this is not a reuse of a sculpt for any other Green Arrow related figure, so that's nice. We also get this little bundle of arrows here to go in the quiver, and again, it is devoid of paint. It is just a sculpted bunch of arrows with a sort of, bland bottom there for it to sit in the quiver. These came out of the packaging a little bit bent, but some hot water or a hairdryer will straighten those out. And again, from what I can tell, this is a unique sculpt. And last but not least, Connor Hawke also comes with this very nice bow accessory. And again, this is a unique sculpt. I have not seen this bow used for any other DC Multiverse release. So that is very nice. And of course, there is a very nice gold paint on the detailing here on the longbow, which looks excellent. I mean, that's just beautiful. So bravo McFarlane, I really like this. So as for the figure of Connor Hawke itself, I'm sort of low-key blown away, guys, because my initial instinct when I first picked this guy up out of the box, the shipping container that is, and had a look at the front of the box, is that he was a reuse of something, and, I kind of didn't pay him too much attention, but I'm looking at him, guys, and this looks to me like a brand new sculpt for Connor Hawke. And this is remarkable because we very rarely get brand new sculpts from McFarlane for figures in the wider universe. Typically, the brand new sculpts in McFarlane are for movie figures, Arkham-based figures. They might also use a new sculpt for a sort of a landmark new Batman or Superman figure, and then they use that buck over and over again. But generally speaking, now this is just, there are exceptions, most of the wider DC universe will sort of be brought to life in plastic fantastic in the form of a reuse of a standard buck, whether it be the Blue Beetle body buck or the Nightfall buck, or there's a half a dozen that routinely pop up again and again. But Connor Hawke here has a unique brand new sculpt, and it's kind of low-key fantastic. His legs are a little bit long and skinny, but that kind of fits the design of the character. He's often quite athletic. He is a martial artist, he's kind of very lithe, very athletic. I like it. I generally like the proportions of the torso as well. The arms, I find the cut of the arms is really nice. There's sort of not a lot of, awkward gappage here. Everything fits together nicely, and there's a really nice mixture of texture and smoothness, which creates some contrast. So, look here at Connor's torso. You'll see that whole chest area is just beautifully sculpted. It's got like a leather finish to it, maybe even a wash. A light wash over there to bring out some of the details. It looks great. These buckles here are really crisp with the gold and then the black straps. Fantastic. And this is not just a sort of a flat part of the sculpt. You'll see it's kind of got like a raised appearance from the body. There's a lot going on here. It's sort of deceptively good. It just doesn't look like much until you look at it up close and you're like, hold on. McFarlane has gone all out on Connor Hawke. And I often say with McFarlane figures, there are figures where you can feel the love and there are figures where you don't feel the love. Even if they're good figures, you don't really feel the love. This is one where you can feel the love. Somebody brought this boy to life with love, care, and attention, and they've done a great job because this figure kind of rocks, at least aesthetically. I'm really, really impressed. I like the sculpted hood here. That's all sculpted in. Again, just great texture. It really looks lifelike. I love it. You'll see here on the legs, he's got all these sort of straps and pouches, and these could use some paint, I think, just to sort of differentiate them from the leg. But look at the sort of texture in that sculpt of the upper leg. The stitching, the fabric there, that sort of weave look. It's incredibly good, guys. Even the knee pads have got a fine sculpt in them. The boots. Just tremendous level of detail. I really, really like the belt with all the little pouches, the gold gauntlet. This is really impressive. Just visually, it's just a really fun figure. And it's kind of incredible that Connor Hawke has just kind of got some attention, more attention than Oliver Queen has got. So it's really, really interesting how much love McFarlane has poured onto this guy. An interesting thing I noticed about his boots is that these sort of upper parts are just loose pieces that fall down. That's very Marvel Legends style. That's a real Marvel Legends design quirk. I've never seen that in Multiverse. So correct me if I'm wrong, but he's never done this. But it's not a big deal. You sort of just push it up and it should just fit there with a bit of tension. It should fit there, but what you got to be careful of now is that they might not be level. So you've just got to make sure they are both consistent, and it should be fine. You'll see here that this has got a scuff on mine, but if you rotate it around, it should be fine. So there you go. That's really, really interesting. Overall, guys, a great looking figure. Look at the head sculpt. Just great stuff. I would say his skin tone is maybe a little bit lighter than canonically so. I mean, Connor is meant to be part Asian, part African American as well, I think. So he really should have sort of a more tanned complexion, a more caramel complexion. It's not terrible what they've gone with, and I think it's acceptable. I really, really like the paintwork around the eyes there. It looks really, really nice, and everything is just really crisp. This is a Marvel Legends-esque head sculpt in that it's just very tight, very crisp, nicely sculpted, nicely painted. Head sculpts are often where McFarlane figures fall down. This one is a banger. Look at the hair. Fantastic sculpt. The bandana looks great, and there's paint throughout that really just gives it detail and life. And yeah, detail is the name of the game here. It's not overly detailed so that it becomes like uncannily realistic looking, but it's got enough detail that it really just sells you on the sort of reality of it, the verisimilitude. So awesome looking. Let's get the accessories pinned on. So his quiver attaches in his back, like so. And it kind of fits in there a bit awkwardly, but it does it. And you can put the arrows in the quiver, like so. I suppose they look fine. You'd tilt them on an angle, wouldn't you, to look like that. And his longbow should fit nicely into his hand. I will say one of the disappointments of this figure is that he does not come with a single arrow that you can kind of pose in his hands as if he is firing the arrow or drawing back on the bowstring to shoot the arrow. So there you have it. Arrow in hand, quiver attached. That is an awesome looking figure, guys. Very, very good. It'll look awesome on a shelf. I'll show you what he looks like with some other relevant characters soon. But yeah, this is a total win as far as I'm concerned from an aesthetic point of view. Turning now to the articulation, which it's worth looking at because this is a new buck as far as I can tell. There's nothing mind-blowing, but he kind of does everything you'd expect him to do. His legs won't go up any more than that, but you'll see that there's a double-jointed knee that allows him to just about kick his own butt, but not quite. No, not quite, but it's more than enough. His arms go up that much for a T-pose, and you'll see double-jointed elbows. Pretty nice. Head, you get a decent range of movement. It's inhibited by the back of the hood here, but not too bad. Tilt from side to side. Ab crunch is probably average for a McFarlane going forward. Average for McFarlane bending back. Still looks good, and these straps have maintained their alignment. You'll see that they painted the straps under here and they continue up so that they don't break. When you articulate, that's really, really nice. Hands are on a ball joint, at least this one is on the ball joint and a hinge, and so is the other one. It's very standard stuff, guys. And foot articulation, same. There is a rocker, toe articulation, and a swivel and a hinge. It's all very standard, but, you know, on the upper end, the upper echelon of what McFarlane figures can do. So, you know, fairly athletic, you know, martial arts-based character, and you'll be able to get him into the poses, I think, that you want to get him in. So, yeah, he looks great, he moves well, total banger of a release. Couldn't be more happy. Turning now to Hourman, you'll see we get the collector card with that cool Golden Age comic book art, and on the back you'll see we get the data file. This is Rex Tyler, the original incarnation of Hourman and a founding member of the Justice Society of America, and you can pause there if you want to read more about Rex and his crazy backstory. And as always, we get a display stand. It's thin, basic, boring, but always great to have. And because that's all we get in terms of accessories, it's now time to look at the figure of Hourman itself. Now, this is an interesting one because on the one hand, this is a pretty cool figure. On the other hand, I'm deeply disappointed because it is a total reuse of the Spectre. Now, I like the Spectre when I first reviewed him as part of that Crisis on Infinite Earths wave. You know, it did have some flaws. It's a little bit short. It's based on the Martian Manhunter buck from memory, which is a little bit undersized, a bit underscaled. You know, but everything that I said about this figure in my original review holds true in terms of articulation and the sculpt, because this guy is pretty much exactly the same, barring a few details. My major problem, of course, is that Hourman here and Spectre are both founding members of the JSA, so you'll be wanting to pose these guys together on the shelf. But you see the problem, don't you? It's that cape. It is that goddamn cape. They've reused the same sculpted cape between the pair of them, and of course, because it is so dramatically posed and very, very unique, it stands out on the shelf, and you can't have these guys posed next to each other because they will just look ridiculous. So this is just highlights one of the issues that I have when you reuse, you know, a sculpt. If it's generic enough, that's fine, but if you use something highly specific, like this very, very dramatic cape, you know, you end up with figures that just look cheap, like cheap rehashes. And you don't want to be thinking about that when you open a new figure. You don't want to be looking at it and going, well, that's just exactly the same as Spectre. I've rebought the Spectre. I really think this is a case where McFarlane should have used a different buck, or perhaps scrapped this cape and somehow replaced the hood part of the sculpt with maybe a fabric, posable wide cape. You know, it's just not the right candidate for a reuse of the Spectre, because you're going to pose these figures next to each other and it's just going to cause problems. So, you know, I'm going to have trouble setting up my JSA. I'm going to have to find a way for Hourman to not be in the same frame or the same sort of row. I'm going to have to figure out a way where you don't sort of immediately see that they've got the same, you know, overly dramatic cape. So, look, before I actually move on from Spectre and the comparison, you'll see a major difference is the boots. Very, very different. Hourman's got his striped, longer boots, so the lower leg piece is unique, and the Spectre has his little green leprechaun boots. And you'll see another change is that Hourman has his belt piece there over the top, and of course the hourglass logo at the clasp of his cloak. And you will see that Hourman also has a different head underneath that hood, but otherwise these guys are the same. And I should also mention that their hands are different. Hourman has big chunky fists, and Spectre has little leprechaun gloves. Speaking of his fists, Hourman's fists are enormous. I don't know, they look out of scale to me. Like, that is a big hand. You know what they say about, guys with big hands? They look stupid. So yeah, he's got these enormous hands, nothing to hold. There are no extra accessories, so I don't really know what this sort of like trigger finger hand is really for. A dramatic gesture hand would have been better, or another fist, in my opinion. I do like the hourglass sculpt that they've sort of incorporated there into the chest piece. That's nice, but I do sort of find the cape, while a nice sculpt, just to be lacking in paint. So it just looks like a big slice of American cheese. Don't you reckon that just looks like it should be melted on a burger or something? I don't know. It just looks very, very plasticky, very cheesy. I don't like it that much. There's just not enough texture to offset the lack of paint, in my opinion. And you'll see here all this detail around the hood here. It's just a little bit plain. It's not that exciting. He does look like cheese, and that's just slightly disappointing. Like the original sculpt of the Spectre, it's got a nice texture all around, so I can't fault it for that. Overall, he looks fine. Like, I don't know that he's the most accurate to the source material, but you get away with it, I think. The head sculpt underneath the hood is nice. You can't really remove the hood because it's hard plastic. Again, I think a cloth hood, like they've done with like Ragman, for example, and Damian Wayne, would have been much cooler for this figure. It kind of just feels to me like Hourman was just fobbed off, given a very, very small budget allocation, and they said, well, look, let's just take the Spectre and do a few little tweaks and call it a day. So it's fine. It's a fine figure. Honestly, if you want an Hourman, you won't be hugely disappointed, but you won't be inspired. It's just not that interesting. And, to review these two at the same time, Connor Hawke and Hourman, it's like chalk and cheese, like literally chalk and cheese. Connor Hawke is like exciting, interesting, fun, detailed, new, from top to bottom, and Hourman is just like, oh, that's the Spectre, but with like weird colors. Yeah, so Hourman, he's fine. Yeah, he's totally fine. And if you want him for your JSA, and of course you do, you'll just have to get him anyway. And I don't think you'll hate him, but I don't think you'll love him either. Now let's pose up these two figures with some other characters that you might want to display them with. Starting with Connor Hawke, you may want to have Cassandra Cain on the shelf alongside him. They teamed up together in the comics, and you might also want to have Tim Drake, another 90s stalwart. Yet again, you may also want to have Kyle Rayner. There he is, up the back. And of course, you may want a Green Arrow Oliver Queen to be involved as well. And there you go, that's a pretty cool bunch of characters to pose Connor with. Now, if you don't have that Silver Age Green Arrow, or that Longbow Hunters, I should say, Green Arrow, you might want to sub in the Injustice Oliver Queen. Pretty good figure. Even though stylistically maybe doesn't quite match, but then again, this figure is so detailed that you can kind of get away with that extra level of Injustice design. So yeah, that's how they look together. A great looking figure, roughly in proportion for what he needs to be alongside other figures, and I think Connor Hawke will make a great addition to your display. So in terms of Hourman and the figures you'd want to display alongside him, it's pretty obvious. You'd want to do your Justice Society of America. So you would have the founding members, Alan Scott, Green Lantern, Jay Garrick, Flash. They look fantastic together. Look at that. You might also want to have Wildcat in there, maybe not founding, but at least from the same sort of general era. Of course, Jim Corrigan, the Spectre. And again, you're not going to be able to pose the Spectre too close to Hourman because they are identical in sculpt, and you can see it kind of looks awkward. And finally, of course, we could put the classic colours Hawkman up the back there, and that's a pretty sick looking original Justice Society of America. Of course, we're missing a few characters, some I don't have yet, like the Dr. Fate from the digital release. I'm going to be getting the classic gold and blue version of that Dr. Fate very, very soon from the cool folks at Green Rock Comics, so stay tuned for that. We're a few characters short, but we're getting pretty close, and I think that's really rad. So yeah, Hourman will fit nicely into your display as long as you keep him away from the Spectre, and that's really the major issue with the figure, but other than that, pretty cool. So yeah, there we are, Connor Hawke and the Spectre. Two gold label releases released at the same time in roughly the same assortment, and there's quite a difference in the approach taken by McFarlane Toys. I think this is a classic case of a set of figures where you can feel the love in one of them and you can't really feel as much love in the other one. One was a passion project and one was a clever reuse to fill a slot. So yeah, I think if you're going to pick up just one of these figures, you're going to be wanting to pick up Connor Hawke, the Green Arrow, easily the better figure of the pair, and just one of the best figures McFarlane has put out of late. Very, very impressed with him, and Hourman is fine. He's fine. He's not great. he's not terrible. He's just fine. He gets the job done. Just beware, if you're going to pose him with a Spectre, he's going to stick out a little bit. And of course, he comes with roughly 0 accessories, so that's a little bit disappointing. He could have come with something. I feel, again, Connor Hawke just shows him up, even though he could have come with a single arrow as well. I'm not complaining. Great figure. Get Connor Hawke. Consider Hourman if you're building a JSA display. Obviously, he will be essential in that case. But yeah, overall, one awesome figure, one average figure, that averages out to a pretty good night of figure opening. I am happy. So thank you, McFarlane Toys. Thank you, Icon Collectibles, for sending me these figures for review. And thank you to you for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It really, really helps me out. Like the video if it's been in any way entertaining or helpful and informative to you. And keep an eye on the channel. Hit the notification bell to see all my reviews as they go live. There will be more as the releases come flooding in 2025. I'm super excited. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and happy collecting.